Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Daily Debate. My name is Ahmed Nader, and tonight we're going to focus on the latest developments in the fields of energy and the future of energy here in the country, and more specifically the sustainable and green energy, and how things have developed under the tenure of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in this domain, and to be going into the field and into the age of the nuclear power plant of Al-Daba that will be unveiled and inaugurated in the near future, and how it will be changing the map of the electricity and the energy here in the country, and of course the power linkage of the power grids between Egypt and Saudi Arabia, for example, in the upcoming few months as well. All this and more during the episode of the Daily Debate for tonight, but we'll be starting straight away with the main top stories for today, as President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi stressed that the Egyptian abilities and strengths guarantee its preservation of the security and the safety of its people's resources. The remark was made during a meeting President al-Sisi held on Sunday with a number of commanders from the armed forces, the police and various other security agencies at the headquarters of the Strategic Command in the new administrative capital. The meeting discussed the developments of the current situation on the regional and the international arenas, as well as the repercussions on the Egyptian national security. The meeting was attended by Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and the Minister of Defense and Military Production, Lieutenant General Abdel Majid Saqr, Minister of Interior Major General Mahmoud Tawfiq, and the head of the General Intelligence Service. The presidential spokesperson stated that President al-Sisi stressed that the Egyptian state closely follows up on the successive regional and the international crises and works along the constants of its foreign policy that are based on balance and moderation in order to diffuse the tensions and to spare the region the escalating risks of slipping into new hotbeds of conflict that threaten the stability of the entire region. In this regard, President al-Sisi stressed the need to enhance the capabilities of the state institutions and the agencies, stressing the importance of the role played by the armed forces in preserving the homeland out of their belief in the sacred tasks entrusted to them to protect Egypt, whatever sacrifices are needed. The head of state stressed that the current circumstances have proven that the awareness and the solidarity of the Egyptian people are the basic guarantees for overcoming the challenges and the surrounding threats, pointing to the continuation of the comprehensive development efforts across the country. And for the other item of the top stories for today, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on Sunday asserted the ability and the readiness of the state institutions, especially the armed forces and the police forces, for facing any interior or exterior challenges. This came during a meeting in the new administrative capital with several media outlets and pressmen, including the State Information Service Chief, that tackled the regional developments, including the war in Gaza and the Egyptian efforts to secure a ceasefire, an exchange of prisoners and the unhindered aid access to the enclave. The meeting also tackled the situation in Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Sudan, Somalia and Yemen, and the Egyptian efforts to defuse these crises. It also discussed the water security as a top priority for Egypt. The President said that Egypt has passed through difficult challenges in the previous phase, including its economic reform plan and the development drive pointing out the confidence shown by the international economic institutions into the Egyptian economy. And we will be heading to the main activities of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi over the past week, all in the upcoming report. Stay tuned.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi arrives in the Norwegian capital Oslo as part of his European tour. He met with the Prime Minister of Norway. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met with His Majesty King Harald V of Norway during his official visit to the country, which is part of his European tour. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi arrived in the Irish capital, Dublin, at the conclusion of his European tour. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi meets with the Irish President Michael Higgins at the start of his official visit to Ireland, the final stop of his European tour, which included stops in Denmark and Norway. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi holds a meeting with Dr. Badr Abdelati, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Migration and Egyptian Expatriate Affairs. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received a phone call from the Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi receives Mr. Jake Sullivan, the U.S. National Security Advisor, and Mr. Brett McGurk, the Middle East and North African Coordinator at the U.S. National Security Council. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi sent a telegram to the Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva wishing him a speedy recovery following his recent health issues.
And from the presidential activities of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to the upcoming report, which is, of course, focusing on the main topic for the daily debate for tonight, and the renewable energy, the future of Egypt and the future of the world, as Egypt is intending to be having the energy mix of renewable energy by the year 2040 to be consisting of about 42% from this sort of friendliness to the environment and renewable energy for the future. We'll be having more details in the upcoming report. Stay tuned.
The world is rapidly transitioning towards a greater reliance on new and renewable energy sources in an endeavor to achieve sustainability and reduce use of fossil and fuel-generated energy. Egypt is not far from this global shift. The Egyptian government has long realized the importance of diversifying energy mix to reduce carbon emissions. To this end, Egypt has set an ambitious plan to increase contribution of renewable energy led by solar power to 42% of the energy mix by 2035. According to this progressive plan, electricity generated from renewables in the energy mix will increase by 33% by 2025, 48% by 2030, 55% by 2035, and finally 61% by 2040. The private sector has a major role to play in making these ambitious targets a reality. Egypt, with its abundance of sun and wind, is an ideal location for mega renewable energy projects. The ranking of Egypt among the top players regionally and globally in the renewable energy field underlines this outlook. The country ranks first in electricity generation from solar and wind sources on the Middle East level. Globally, upon the completion of the 2,000 megawatt Bimban solar power plant in partnership with the private sector, Egypt ranks fourth in terms of the largest solar power plants following India, which ranks first and third, and China assuming second place. The Bim Bam project is praised as the solar energy capital of the world and model to be replicated. Expanding the use of new and renewable energy sources brings several positive economic benefits. The most prominent are cost savings at home, as homeowners and residents can leverage the abundance of sun and install solar panels on the roofs to produce their own energy, resulting in reduced bills and long-term savings. Source of independent energy, as solar energy ensures the availability of a source of electricity that is not affected by any circumstances or natural disasters, thus providing reliable source of energy and reducing the negative impact of global warming and environmental disasters such as hurricanes, floods and fires. Job creation, as expansion of solar projects creates job opportunities which will support local families and help boost the overall national economy. Decarbonization, expansion in renewable energy sources and solar energy in specific can significantly reduce carbon emissions from businesses and households. By leveraging innovative technologies and solutions, businesses and individuals can achieve ambitious sustainability targets and reach energy independence. To achieve a more sustainable future and reduce reliance on renewable fuel sources, expanding the use of renewables is imperative. With Egypt's favorable conditions, including advanced technology, innovative ideas and abundant sunlight, the country is well positioned to maximize benefits of solar energy and accelerate efforts to combat climate change.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and I'm honored to be having with me over the program for tonight Dr. Gamal Qaloubi, the Professor of Petroleum Engineering and Energy. Thank you very much, Doctor, for being with us tonight.
Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Of course, we have seen over the past report the statements made by the Minister of Electricity and Renewable Energy, Mahmoud Ismat, about the plan and the vision of Egypt to be having by the year 2040 the energy mix of the country to be consisting of about 42% of renewable energy. Do you think that this is doable? Is it attainable?
Well, you know, that's the strategy of the country had been started since 2017. So since that time, there is a baseline for our upcoming futures, specifically in independencies for the energies. You know, well, it's a very independencies for any economy. That's if they don't have enough and the continuities of energy resources,
yes,
it will be an issue even for continue supporting and building such of industries, such of any activities, agricultures or something even like this.
Yes.
So for that reason, it's Egypt has already settled that baseline since 5 years that we shall have the energy basket, which it's called energy mix, which it's contributed by 5 resources. The first one, it's very conventional, which it's petroleum fuels. The second one, it's nuclear energy. Third, it's sustainable energy. Fourth, it's a hydro electricity part. And the last one, which it's have been updated recently, it's the green hydrogens.
Yes.
All that's 5 resources is contributed any such strong economy of contributed worldwide. For that reason, we are stick to continue with that situation. So electricity ministry and also that's the position of Prime Minister of Egypt that had been considered that it's very essential and important target shall be achieved by 2030.
Yes.
So by 2030 Egypt had been contributed by a wide plan, and this is contributed by 55% producing from electricity coming from the petroleum fuel. 42% supposed to coming from renewable energy by the post resources, solar or wind.
Yes.
The last thing, 33% is the resource of nuclear plant, which it's a Daba, which it has planned to be start operating the first unit by 2027. So in consequence, that part is very essential and inclusively for Egypt as energy section.
Yes, one of the main statements by the Minister of Electricity and Renewable Energy as well was to be having a share of between 5 to 8% of the global trade of green hydrogen. As you mentioned, Doctor, the importance of green hydrogen in the energy mix that we have nowadays, and the importance of increasing this share by 2030 and then 2040 to about 5 to 8% of the global trade as well. How do you see the importance of having green hydrogen in the energy mix for Egypt, and the importance of elevating this share?
I think that's supposed to be in continuous stages, because, you know, we start 18% currently. We're producing electricity from renewable energy.
Yes.
Almostly, we talk about 7% to 8% coming from solar, a portion of 8% coming from hydroelectricity, from High Dam, from Aswan Reservoir 1, Aswan Reservoir 2, Isna and Naga Hamadi dams, and in continuous with the Asyut channel, which had been upgraded recently and already merged in the national net. So the contribution of hydrogen is very updated technology. It was not an easy, but we consider that we have under Prime-Ministry, there is a concerto take care about how to contribute and start such manufacturing. For Egypt, we have started since 6 months to exported the first cargo of one green ammonia, which it's a very essential part for any shipment transportation, which it's add values in terms of our portion of energy section as commercialities. For that reason, we have planned by 2025 that we have planned for 1.6 million tons of green ammonia to be exported for the upcoming year, and in continuous till 2023, that's we have a plan to reach up to 9 million tons of green ammonias as a portion for exporting such types of energy. Sustainable energy contributed by solar or wind is our main target. So for that reason, yesterday, the new solar plant had been joined our electricity net, and this is very, very important because that's our main options. Of the 3 options has been settled by Prime-Ministry to upcoming stop or eliminate any kind of electricity cut. Exactly.
Yes.
Which is supposed to be very famous. We are suffered during summer periods due to our consumption rate had been reached up to 38,000 megawatts, which it's a big, huge in compared to what we have currently in winter now between 31 or 32. So the consumptions we talk about is very huge in summer, and for that reason, Egypt had target that in the upcoming 6 months there is a plan to produce 4,000 megawatts from solar and wind. The first one had been started already. Apidos solar plant had been already started operating since 1 week under empirical and commercial already operating, and since yesterday it's already had been joined directly to our national net and producing 500 megawatt. This 500 megawatt directly from the solar panel system had been settled in 10,000 square meters, and this is contributed and can feed up to 700 houses in a remote area across that such plant. In continuous, there is another plant which is coming by Aqua Power from Kumompo. This is a solar plant to produce 200 megawatt, and this is in upcoming month is supposed to be opening by our Prime-Ministry also for this. In continuous to produce 4,000 megawatt, still remaining 3,400 that had been planned to produce from wind farm plant, which totally will be 7 different productions and different also concertos. some foreigners, some from private section, and some also from local private section, which is very highly encouraged. Portion had been delivered for such investment in such type of producing electricity.
Yes, Doctor, you mentioned a very important point, which is all of the energy mix that we have nowadays and all of the energy mix that we are aspiring to be going to into the future by 2030 or by 2040. This is important for the consumption rates of the Egyptians, of the citizens, because we have seen power cuts in the past few years. It has been, of course, been found solutions for it over the past few months. But how do you think the production rates that will be, of course, increasing by the upcoming months will be affecting positively the consumption rates of the citizens, especially in the summer period, as you mentioned?
Well, good questions, but like I explained to you in detail, that there is also a 3 options plan had been settled, and this is already described yesterday by our Prime Minister, and there is also promising from our Prime Minister yesterday, Mr. Engineer Mustafa Madbouli, that there is no any upcoming cut for that situation. And also the government had been settled 3 options on such as a preliminary solution. The first one is producing 4,000, which is the remaining, or the amount of reduction what we are complaining for, and for that reason we have a plan to produce from the sustainable energy the 4,000 in the upcoming 60 months. So the first part had been already opening yesterday. The second part it will be in continuous. But your question is very essential because it's a lot of rumors across. Are we able to fulfill the requirements for such promising had been settled by Prime Minister? And my answer yes, because first, that we have been started because our president had been settled high responsibility for such priority, which it's delivered also by all population. The electricity is an essential security issue for the streets. So for that reason, it's mandatory that we have a solution. And for that reason, we have already commitment by investors, we have a commitment by government, we have a commitment that every obstacle had been solved in a proper condition in terms of hard coin, in terms of all resource preparations also, or infrastructure was needed for that one. And over of that, you already settled the infrastructure to make a combination between what producing from that plant directly connected to the nation net, which is really important. So that's the first one, producing 4,000 directly from the sustainable area. The second option, which is settled alternative plan, is that we have already covered the importing of the liquefied LNG, and we have a commitment contracts with different countries, and we are able to fulfill the requirements, which is 1 billion cubic feet per day, which are the daily requirement, and the missing of the total amount of 6 million billions cubic feet per day, the total consumption rate for all Egypt. We are able to produce almost 4.3 billion cubic feet per day, and the remaining supposed to be 1 billion. And that 1 billion we are imported, and that's covered by individual contracts between EGAS, representative of a government, and many suppliers across the world, which are able to protect our needs for the future. In the same consequences, there is also LNG ship had been already agreed and had new contracts with a new vendors from USA. That new vendors had a plan to deliver such LNG shipment by next June to 2025. So we are able to have 3 different ships in two in our country and 1 in Jordan, Gulf of Aqaba. So you have the 3 options as a second alternative plan. The third alternative plan, that's already we have a lot of foreign investment in petroleum discoveries and petroleum exploration section, and I think that's Ministry of Petroleum had settled a lot of plans in terms of paid the third portion of the remaining rights of our foreigner partners, and this is allow them to more encourage for more exploration phase and more activities for development phase. And one of these development phase is improving the production in the mega project of Zohr, which our plan to increase the production within the upcoming 3 months. So you have 3 plans on a spot had been settled by government, and up on that one, it's clear the promising of our Prime Minister for the future eliminating of such electricity cut.
Yes, and Doctor, you mentioned the key word here, which is the commitment of the government and of course, the political leadership under the excellency of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to be going into a transitional phase into solar and wind energy, to be focusing and to be committing the energy mix of Egypt to those, at least 2 of them, the solar and the wind energy production for the future. How did you see this commitment over the past 10 or 11 years under the tenure of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi? Is it enough? Do we need more?
Smart question, Ahmed. But honestly speaking, yes. Like I said to you, if I go for the surveying in terms of data analysis, yes, I can just deliver to you numbers. So if you display back to 2017, you will see that Egypt has settled their plan since 60 years in the past, that we're really focusing on producing electricity from the petroleum fuel.
Yes.
So we talk about the numbers, is 97%. So if you talk about what the remaining of 3%, the remaining of 3% is up to 1.8% coming from hydroelectricity, which is the high dam itself. And you talk about 0.5% is just only for one solar, for one wind farm plant had been built in 1996 in Zafran. And this is, it's a wind farm, yes, producing plus minus 20 megawatts. So this is what the history of Egypt before 2017. So after the commitment from our president stage up to the law or the 2 response ministries, I'm talking about electricity as a main portion, and the second one, which is the petroleum section. Petroleum and electricity section had been settled a merge plan, allowed to give wide periods to go for further than to focusing on the petroleum fuel. And for that reason, the numbers is an analysis coming different. Since 2017 till 2024, we have settled now one of the biggest solar plant which had been built 2 years ago in Pinpan,
yes,
which it's in the highway Aswan Cairo, and this is producing 2,000 megawatts, which in a huge second or third plant worldwide. It's in compared to the worldwide globally, yes, for such amount of production in such solar plant. The second one, which it's a wind farm in Gamal, and this is one of the second or the first farm wind globally, producing 580 megawatts. And this is for a very highly intensive wind production area in the 3rd zone globally in the world, which is the Gulf of Suez. Because in Gulf of Suez, the tendency of the wind is in 24 hours, with different directions had been changed in 6 hours per day. So if you try to think and simulate that we try to tackling our position in energy in different way, yes, in the stage of President Sisi, renewable energy and energy mix, yes, the equation in Egypt is different. And now it's coming to numbers. If you talk about how the value production of electricity coming from sustainable energy and even green energy today is 18%, because we talk about 7,500 megawatt of total production of Egypt, yes, 32,000 megawatt. If you try to make the division for the equation 7,500 over the 23,000 megawatt, you will see that's we talk about almost 18 or 19% is coming from renewable energy, and compare the 0.5% in 2017. So you know it's a clear vision by the analysis and numbers.
Yes.
So upcoming, yes, it's a commitment. The upcoming we talk about in the next 6 months is we have a plan to 4,000 megawatt coming from also renewable energy, and upcoming to 2030, that as I explained to you, that our renewable energy will contribute in electricity equation production, supposed to reach 42% from wind and solar.
Yes, Dr. Gamal Qaloubi, allow me to be going to the other report of the daily debate for tonight, focusing on the future of energy in Egypt and the world, more specifically here in the country, in Marsa Matruh at Al-Daba, the nuclear power plant. We will be speaking more about this, about the future of this nuclear power plant with my dear guest for tonight, Dr. Gamal Qaloubi. But first of all, we'll be having a report about Egypt earmarking $750 million for 2 renewable energy projects here in the country. We'll be having more details in the upcoming report. Stay tuned.
The Egyptian Ministry of Electricity and Renewable Energy has set a target to increase the country's electrical capacity by 750 megawatts through the development of 2 wind and solar energy projects by October 2024. The projects, with a total investment of $700 million, are expected to contribute to Egypt's renewable energy goals. The first project, a wind energy initiative with a capacity of 250 megawatts. It is being implemented in the Gulf of Suez region near Ras Gharib. The wind energy project is connected to the national electricity grid. The second project involves a solar energy station with a capacity of 500 megawatts. This project is being carried out by an Emirati company in Komombo area of Aswan Governorate. The solar energy station is expected to become operational by October. The implementation progress of the solar energy station in Komombo has surpassed 75%. Under the arrangement, the Egyptian government has committed to purchasing the energy generated by both projects. Meanwhile, the African Development Bank approves $170 million for Egypt's largest wind energy project. The project involves the design, construction, operation and maintenance of a greenfield wind farm divided into 2 sites located along the Gulf of Suez. The Board of Directors of the African Development Bank has approved a loan of up to $170 million to support the development of the game-changing 1.1 gigawatt Suez wind project, currently Egypt's largest wind energy initiative. The total project cost is estimated at $1.1 billion. The bank's financing is in addition to financing expected from a consortium of development finance institutions, banks and financial institutions. The project has been awarded the Golden License by the Cabinet of Egypt, recognizing it as a strategic initiative for the country. This license provides a set of incentives, including streamlining approvals to accelerate the project's implementation and its contribution to Egypt's renewable energy goals. This project not only facilitates the government of Egypt's efforts to achieve 42% of renewable energy in its energy mix by 2030, but also derives local economic growth and strengthens regional energy security. The project involves the design, construction, operation and maintenance of a greenfield wind farm divided into 2 sites, each with a capacity of 550 megawatts located along the Gulf of Suez. The wind farm is expected to generate 4,111 gigawatts annually, supplying clean, reliable and affordable energy to over 1 million households. It will reduce annual CO2 emissions by approximately 1.71 million tons, contributing significantly to Egypt's climate commitments under the Paris Agreement.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and I'm honored to be having with me over the program for tonight Dr. Gamal Qaloubi, the Professor of Petroleum Engineering and Energy. Thank you very much once again for being with us tonight. We have seen over the past report what we have spoken of throughout the episode, the importance of the solar, the wind energy and renewable energy in general. But you mentioned a very important topic for the future of energy here in the country, the renewable energy, the Daba power plant that will be set up and will be operational, I think, in 2025. How do you see the importance of involving the nuclear energy in the energy mix here in the country? Is it a magical solution?
It's not a magical solution, but
Yes.
it's a mandatory solution. Mandatory solution that you shall protect your economy. So whenever you protect your economy, we have an issue that's whenever that we pay per month $1.3 billion to import the petroleum fuels.
Yes.
And we talk about three main options or three main resources really important to continue supplying for the country. For that reason, portion of that one is if you go directly to fulfill the requirements of electricity in different way, and this different way will not costed you. May it costed you in the first approach by the technology imported, but rather than that in the future, that cost will be very neglected since you are continue producing. And sustainable energy, if used that such technology and you build a plan, that plan can supply up to 30 years as a stage and age also for supplying electricity without even minimal cost. That's the cost for maintenance. So if you try to make a calculation by just rough calculation, you will see that whenever you produce 1 kilowatt hours, you will see very much that it's costed us up to $5 per each 1 kilowatt hours.
Yes.
So for that reason, if you compare that kilowatt hours cost and compare what the cost is coming from nuclears, we talk about 0.3 or 30 cent. If we talk about renewable energy, we talk about something less than that value also. So what the solution we are looking for, the solution is to reduce the more cost, which that's effectively make it our economy negatively, because we cut a portion of our budget just to put it per month to import such petroleum fuel. So our future, we need to reduce that value in continuous till we reach up to 50% of our electricity consumptions is coming from our sun and wind.
Yes.
In such activities will help us in accomplish with the nuclears, because nuclears as a port is very huge portions now currently in the European Union, that we have France, we have UK, we have also Germany. There is a lot of countries, they consumed and they build their electricity productions up on nuclear plant. So if we talk about France, we talk about almost 60% of electricity production is coming from nuclears. If you talk about Germany, we talk about 34% coming from electricity. Same 28% is coming from UK. If we talk about South Korea, if you talk about Japan, it's up to 100% or up to 90% is coming from the nuclears. So a portion of that one, we have a mix. So we will not stop on one resources, but we have many resources, and for that reason we have a mix. That mix, it's healthy for our economy. For that reason we're back again. That's our future, is to reach 50% within the next upcoming 5 years coming from the sustainable energy, because now up on Atlas solar plant or our solar book, it showed that the most intensively pollution zone globally after middle of Africa, in the north of Africa, like in Egypt. So we talk about the square meter can produce per year up to 1,800 kilowatt hours, which is a huge number. So for that reason, one of a quick solution, very no cost solution, and very protected future for energy in Egypt, to go for that solution of sustainable energy as the first portion, and second will be the nuclears, and the third one will be the green hydrogens and consequences. And in the same, we are going to also protect our old machine. We talk about high dam, we talk about Aswan 1, Aswan 2, Isna, Naga Hamad. So we still keep maintenance program to maintain all that situation of producing natural using the hydroelectricity from the water itself, we can get it. Also, we have a simulator artificial electricity plant that's a plan to build in Gamal Ataqa,
yes.
that's in Gulf of Suez, that we have to simulate, raise the water up to 800 meters and drop it from that high distance to the turbine. It can produce up to 2,000 megawatt, and this is under construction.
Like an artificial waterfall.
Exactly, it's called artificial water flooded.
Yes. Doctor, of course, one of the important topics that we have seen over the past period, and one of the statements made by Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, that in May of 2025, the first phase of linking the power grid between Egypt and Saudi Arabia will be operational. What is the importance of linking the power grids between Egypt and Saudi Arabia, Egypt and Jordan, Egypt and any country, and what is the benefit for both countries, more specifically Egypt?
Good mention and addition in the same spot. Yes, it's a very good addition. Just to highlight that one even to our watchers.
Yes.
It's very important that we have emerged because from the past, we talk about 15 years in the back, we have a very good commerce and also cooperations between us and many European countries. We talk about the electricity net. Electricity net had been settled since 10 years but not activated. Activated only in the last 5 years. Activated to deliver almost 300 megawatt to Jordan, almost 350 megawatt to Sudan,
yes.
And also 120 megawatt also for Gaza. So in continuous for such cooperations, Egypt had planned since very long in the last 5 years that we shall have a plan to be energy hub. Such energy hub, has a lot of properties. One of that one that we have, you have a gas, you have the plants, you have a refining, you have also the international electricity net. This is one of a very good cooperation. One of that such what we put our agreement, merger agreement between the importing, exporting between Egypt and Saudi Arabia, yes, for 3,000 megawatts across that the electricity net had been extended up to after past Gulf of Aqaba to the area of Tabuk and inside the net of the nation net of Saudi Arabia in their zone. So for that reason, we have been settled that part in the last 2 months, and we have operating activity test for that one, which is succeed for that one. So whenever we can consider that of our contingency plan in case we are not able or we have a shortage for the gas importing, or we have a problem that we are not able to fit or fulfill the requirements of 4,000 megawatt in the upcoming 6 months. So consider this one as a contingency plan,
yes,
added to the 3 plans contingency had been settled from the beginning to eliminate the future electricity cut in upcoming 2025 summer.
Yes, Dr. Gamal Qaloubi, the Professor of Petroleum Engineering and Energy. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate. Anytime.
Thank you very much.
And this brings us to the end of the Daily Debate for tonight. Thank you for watching, and I will be seeing you tomorrow.